out at the same time. Everyone's like, gotta get it ready, and they're all just shaking and pressing it on paper or pressing it on whatever they've held their autograph with. It's freaking funny.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's
I
always
got another good tip, by the way, for people if they want kind of an in-between from paint pens and Sharpies. Um, these pens are really, they're not easy to find. You can find them on Amazon, I think. They're called Straddlers, and they're just like an all black on the outside pen, but they come in like blue and I think silver, um, but they're like higher quality Sharpies, and they have like really fine tip and then kind of like a medium tip to them. But the cool thing about them is they dry super quick.
huh,
So they're one of those things where like if you put them to a photo or you put them to something like that, they're going to dry really, really quickly. And so kind of you talk about like, Jerry, like, oh, step away, let the thing dry. These ones are really good because you don't really have to wait that long before you touch the item.
nice. I didn't know about that. I'm gonna actually look into that myself. That's a good tip because I'm always looking for, different pens and so forth to try. So that's cool. I didn't know
Yeah,
about
I've
that.
had two of them for 2 years and they've yet to dry out.
Oh
And I
wow,
mean, and I just use them when I go to different signings. If I don't have a paint pen or I don't want to use a paint pen, and yeah, they are durable. They are really quality pens, and I learned about them because I was at a public signing at a local card shop, and the owners of the card shop I happened to known for years. I'd gone there since I'd been a kid, and he saw me in line, and he saw me with a mini helmet. And he was like, "What do you have him sign that with?" And I was like, "It was like a silver helmet." And I was like, "Well, all I got on me is like this like blue Sharpie." And he like goes under his counter, throws me one of these, and he's like, "Use this." And I was like, "What is this?" And he's like, "It's a better Sharpie." He goes, "But it'll show up way better." And I was like, "Really?" I was like, "I can just have it." He's like, "I've known you for years. Keep it." But I ended up buying two more after seeing it and how well it worked.
nice, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I mean, I know some people are strictly TTM and strictly, some people are just strictly purchase. All they do is purchase autographs. But in my
Right.
opinion, when you have the chance to go to a public signing, those are the best. Like those,
Oh, they're awesome.
you get the best stories. I mean, I have crazy stories from both good and bad,
Oh yeah.
with
Oh
people.
yeah. The
Um,
people watching alone is the price of admission. You know what I mean? Like,
for
and just
sure.
watching people camp out. I mean, especially like I've obviously done a lot of wrestling signings, and you know, they they tend to kind of like when they're here in my state, they kind of tend to go to the same places. Like they're either in a Comcast store, a Cricket Wireless store, or I think they've all. I'm near the Funko headquarters, so they're usually always at one of those three places, and there you kind of see the same people time and time and time again, because we're all the wrestling fans, and I mean,
Yep.
just seriously, the people watching alone is just hilarious for me because, especially if you're a wrestling fan, anybody out there that knows, wrestling fans, we are a unique breed.
Hardcore.
We fall on all parts of the worldwide spectrum, and so it's like, oh, it is entertainment personified to just watch like the entire varying walks of life that go through those lines. It is freaking comedy.
I've seen people show up in full on costume with full on
Oh yeah.
championship belts and the whole deal.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Oh, it's amazing. It's hilarious.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have I have a championship belt, which will be on one of our next episodes of Collections from the Cave, one of the upcoming episodes. I actually have
Nice.
one, but I don't think I could ever like bring myself to carry that heavy thing around to an actual signing. Like, no way, no way.
There's one guy, and he stands out to me because he's a character, and he has a belt, and he brings it to every signing, and he brings it to every live show and every taping, and everything. And he's one of those guys that's, if it's like a Monday Night Raw, he's out there waiting for the wrestlers to come in. He's out there at night waiting for them to leave or whatever. And it cracks me up because it's a full replica, but it's like torn up because he literally takes it everywhere. And I've watched him like drop it on the ground. I've watched him like toss it in the air, and I'm like,
Jeez.
this has autographs on it. Like, it's not a toy, dude. Like, what are you doing? But he freaking brings that thing everywhere, and I'm like, I don't understand. Like, if you're trying to get it signed, keep it as clean as possible, man.
Yeah, I mean the one that I have, I had it for one event. I bought it at the event. I met some wrestlers at that particular event, and I took it to the hotel that night. And then the next day, we met Kevin Nash in Allentown, and so I took it and had him sign it. And then after that, I mean, I was sick of carrying it around for the weekend. I was like, I'm never carrying this thing around again.
Yeah.
Like, no way.
They're heavy. It's crazy to watch what people are willing to like bring around. That where someone like me who's like really into collecting would keep just like in the most pristine condition. It's not wrestling related, but I remember I was at a Mariners game a few years ago, and my buddies and I were there early, so we were in center field. We were having a couple drinks, and then we kind of started just watching BP, and we always like to just like mess with people, so we're like, oh hey, throw us a home run ball, da, da, da. And I look back, and there's a kid behind me, and he's probably like 12, maybe around there, and he's got this like old dusty hat on, and I look, and there's a signature on the bill of the hat, so I'm trying to like get an eye view of like who it is. It's Ken Griffey Jr. And I know, like, I know people know he's a great baseball player, but like you have to understand, in Washington, like, he's our Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? Like, if you've been alive in the last 30 years, Ken Griffey Jr. is like your hero, right? So I'm in my head going, one, why does this kid have this thing out? Two, why is it dirty, right? And three, the like weird part of me is like, how can I get this hat, right? Like, I'm like, how do I get this hat, right? Well, like, the Mariners are taking BP, and we hear this crack, and we see a ball kind of come in our direction. This knucklehead takes his hat off and attempts to try to catch the home run ball with the hat.
Wow.
And I'm like, dude, like, what if you lose it? Like, the ball is going to come at such high speed. If you try to catch it with that hat, you're going to lose the hat.
Yep.
Right? Like, it's going to go. And you have freaking Ken Griffey Jr.'s autograph on it. Like, what are you thinking?
Yeah, that's something else. I mean, that's something that you don't... I would put that in a case and never touch it. You know what I mean?
Like, I would crap my pants if I ever met him. My brother got to meet him just like 2 months ago in Arizona, and it was like his dream come true. But like, if I ever got anything autographed of his, I don't think I would. I don't even know if it would see the light of day. Like, I'd keep it in like a UV protected security case. Like, no one's touching this. Like, no one's going near it. And this kid's freaking trying to catch a home run ball off BP with it. I'm like, oh my gosh! Like, my buddies and I were just like, this is like, he doesn't even deserve that. Like, he does not deserve that item right there. Not at all.
And while speaking of baseball, I think we should do a little bit of a disclaimer for the people. For those of you that are new and have never gotten a baseball signed at a public event or whatever, use a Bic pen. Don't use a Sharpie. Don't use a Sharpie, because I made the mistake of using a Sharpie way back when I first started collecting, and it was Matt Moore from the Rays, the pitcher. I don't know if you've heard of him. Okay, so I was just standing there. I was at Camden Yards, and they were playing. It was the Orioles and the Rays, and I'm just standing there. There's like a group of people that are like hounding the players for the autographs and so forth, and I just kind of stood away from them and just kind of was hanging out. It was raining a little bit and whatever, and all I had on me was a Sharpie for whatever reason. I don't know why. I didn't know at the time. And so Matt Moore, who I didn't even know who he was at the time, comes over to me and he's like, hey, do you want my autograph? And I was like, well, sure, And so he signs it for me and whatever. And by the time I got to the car and actually got to look at the ball, the autograph was gone. The autograph was gone because the rain, like, because there was no protection for the ball at all. Like, it was like pouring rain. There was nothing that I could do. And so anyway, between the rain and the Sharpie, the autograph just completely washed off. And then
it's such a bummer when that happens, And I mean, I get it sometimes. you only have what you have, or like I've been fortunate. I've gotten Ichiro's autograph twice, and I'm glad I got it a second time because the first time I had gotten it, it was in Sharpie. So I had a whole ball all ready to go by myself. I had my big pen in hand. He was just in this small little group of people signing. So I reached my ball out, and I have my pen, kind of right next to it. A lot of us that have done it before, we kind of know, you kind of hold them both in the same hand in hopes that, the person signing will take both items, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed he had a blue Sharpie in his hand. And so I'm like, oh, man, I'm kind of like, okay, hopefully he takes the pen, too.
No.
He just grabs my ball, signs it with the Sharpie, hands it back. And it's like, at that point, I'm not going to be like, excuse me, sir, can you put this in big pen? But I was like, oh, my gosh. I have, again, next to Ken Griffey Jr., the second best Seattle Mariner of all time, and it's in frickin' Sharpie.
Yep.
I was just like, oh, this is pure torture. And, like, it was funny, one of the dads who was down there, too, with his son, he looks at me and he goes, oh, man, that sucks. Because like, even he knew, like, oh, that's horrible. I was like, oh, I know. But thankfully, the very next year, I was able to redeem myself, and I got it in big pen, so... I got the one that I know will fade over time, and I got the one that I know will be okay.
Nice. Well, at least you eventually got it. That's all that matters, right? I've seen kids, I've seen little kids with literally Crayola markers and baseballs. Like, it's bad. Like, I was at Fenway, and I had actually, like, because there's this thing, I don't know if you've ever been to Fenway or not. Hopefully you get to go if you haven't.
I have toured it. I haven't been there for a game, but I have toured the stadium one time when I was vacationing in Boston.
Nice. Well, we were doing the tour. I was actually there for a game, but there's this, it's like a $10 pass or something like that you can buy and do the tour before the game. And so nice. We bought the pass, and we were doing the tour, well, going into the stadium for the the tour or whatever. And it was kind of one of those, like, self-guided things. They kind of just, like, let you in and kind of, like, let you roam around. So I told the person I was with, I was like, look, as soon as they let us in, like, I'm going right down to the Red Sox dugout and I'm going to hang out. Like, I'm just going to wait and see how many people I can get. He's like, all right, whatever. And so I take off. Like, I'm like full on sprint, right? Because it was Red Sox Yankees that night. Okay.
Oh man. Yeah.
And so I run down, get right down to the Red Sox dugout. I waited there for a very long time, and he calls me. My phone starts ringing, and the person I'm with calls me, and I'm like, yeah. And he goes, don't you dare move. He's like, those security guards that are guarding all the entrances to get down that far, they think that you're on a stadium tour. That's why they aren't telling you to move. And so I stayed right there. Dude, I was basically I wasn't on the field, but I basically could have been because I was literally that close. I was right at the dugout door. And
that is awesome.
Yeah, and literally not a single Boston Red Sox player would sign. So I went over to the Yankees side because I was like, well, whatever, nobody's gonna sign. So I go over to the Yankees side, and like everyone starts signing. Like, I got like 5-6 players. I was like, whoa, we're doing good. I don't know any of these people, but we're doing good. Like,
you find that out later. Sometimes you just let them sign. You figure out later who it is.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it didn't end up being any big names or anything like that. But it was just cool because, like, I got past everybody. Everybody thought I was on some kind of stadium tour or something. They didn't bother me, and I just hung out. And the person that I was with, they tried to get down to where I was, and they were like, "Oh, sir, you can't go down that far. That's only for, people that are on this special tour or whatever." And he was like, "My cousin's standing right over there," and they were like, "Well, we didn't see him come by. He must be on the tour." And it was crazy. So,
that's great.
But yeah, it's a wild time. That was the luckiest I've ever got as far as being in the right place at the right time. It just didn't quite pan out with signing, but still cool nonetheless.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think that we should maybe we did have a couple questions on the autograph cave. I think we should maybe answer those real quick. I had posted a question of the day earlier in the day, and I kind of just left it open for interpretation with any questions that anybody were to have. And we did get a couple of those, so I'll kind of go over those now if I can get them pulled up here.
Let's do it.
All right. Let's see here. I have a question that says, how do people find out what hotels teams are staying at when they graph them?
Oh, okay. I mean, in terms of athletes, right? Like baseball, basketball, football, the closer to the stadium, the more likely. A lot of it's networking. You know, a lot of it is meeting other people, and that's why places like the Autograph Cave are so great, because, you know, it's partly networking. You know, you get to meet people that are in different areas. We all have our levels of expertise and our levels of knowledge. Like, I happen to have one friend, and don't know how he knows it, but he always knows what hotels people are at. Like, he just always knows. And so he'll message me and be like, hey, if you want to come autograph, you know, I'm going to this hotel at this time. Come on if you want. So, you know, the closer to the stadium, the better, because they're not looking to drive 20, 30 minutes. But sometimes, especially if you're in an area like where I live, we get some like WWE shows, and there's usually like 2 or 3 hotels that they may stay at. There's kind of one it's funny, like there's one where like the bigger names stay, and then there's like another 2 where kind of like the mid-card to low-card guys and girls stay. And so sometimes just a guessing game, you know. There was one time I was down there with my son, and we were trying to get autographs, and we spent literally like 2 hours, because the hotels are about 4 blocks apart. We spent a couple hours just running back and forth between the 2, you know, trying to see who we can nab.
Yep.
So it's just kind of maybe seeing who you know, and trying to just kind of like follow too. I'm not saying stalk, but, you know, if you see a team bus pull out and you have a quick minute, just kind of watch, see where they may go. You know, if you know your city well enough, you know, like, oh, if they're turning down that street or they're taking that exit, chances are they're going to this hotel or that hotel. You know, like, if you live in certain towns, you're going to know they're not staying at some Motel 6. They're not staying at some Holiday Inn. You know, they're going to stay at some of the nicer hotels, especially if they're a pro baseball team or a pro football team. So it's just kind of more about process of elimination than it is anything else.
Yep, and I would agree with you. I have a little thing to add to that. One time I went to the Falcons and the Ravens in Baltimore, and I was curious, obviously, as to where the Falcons would be staying and so forth. So I literally Googled visiting team hotel NFL Baltimore, right? That's it.
Wow.
And this hotel popped up, and I was like, huh, that's pretty close to the stadium. This sounds, you know, like it could be pretty solid lead, you know. So when I get there, I'll check that out. So I get there, and I check into my hotel, which happened to be right across the street from this one, because I knew that it was either going to be the one that I was staying at or the one across the street. So I checked into my hotel, whatever, and I come down from my hotel, and I'm walking to go find some dinner, and all of a sudden I see the team buses, like all these buses just pulling into this hotel that was right across the street from mine. And I'm like, that's it. That's got to be them. And here they all come, all the Falcons off the buses. I was like, holy cow. Like, did I ever guess, you know, I mean, it was just a shot in the dark, but man, did I ever get lucky, you know?
Right. Right. And that's the thing, you got to remember that stuff, you know. If you end up figuring out where they're staying once, chances are they're going to stay there again, right? Like you said, like an NFL team, right? You know, if you live in, if you live in Atlanta, and you're a Falcons fan, and the Saints are coming to town, and, you know, you're sitting there in 2018, you see the Saints pull up to a certain hotel. Unless they have a horrible experience at that hotel, they're going back to that hotel. You know, like, they're going to stay there every time they're in town. So sometimes just kind of creating that little mental Rolodex, or even keeping track and like, okay, you know, like, Like when I go to WWE shows in my hometown, I know now the 2 hotels to always go look at because, they've consistently been there now for 2 or 3 years. And so it's like, all right, well, now I know that's where I'm probably going to go. And that's where I have luck. And so it's just kind of remembering those things as well. Just like some people keep a spreadsheet of their autographs, keep spreadsheets and stuff like that, so that way you kind of remember it later on.
Yep, for sure. For sure. So that was a good question. I hope that we answered it sufficiently for the person that asked it. And
Yeah.
I have a couple, maybe another one. I think, let me see. What is the best way to prep cards for TTM? I mean, I've sent a lot of cards. I've never prepped a card, and I've paid a price for that because I actually got J.J. Watt one time, and it was like a really glossy card, and I didn't know at the time. So literally on the card, all you can see is JJW. That's it. The rest of it wipes off. So I mean, I guess that it's kind of, you just have to watch that the card's not a super glossy card. And I mean, if it is, you can, there are ways, but I don't like to put any kind of like stuff that looks like powder on my cards and send it through the mail. I don't think that's a good idea.
Right. I know some people use the gum erasers. That's something I know. People kind of lightly rub over the gloss with a gum eraser, and it kind of like puts some tackiness on that area and makes it a little bit more signable and kind of wears down the gloss. But I also have a hard time, like, if you have to alter a card to send it, it might not be worth sending.
Yep.
Like you can always find your generic Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, whatever it is, you can find your generic packs of those that sell for, $1.99 at your local Target, and you could grab 15, 20 packs and just keep those as like your common cards to send out. Like, I get sometimes there's the appeal of like, oh, they got this certain card that I want, or like, it's my favorite rookie card or whatever. But, I don't know. If you got to do some prep work just to make it signable, at that point, why not just send a photo or send something else,
Yep, and I would agree with you there. And like we said, there is the eraser method. I've heard of people using baby powder, which I would advise against because that's, if you don't get all that powder off and it goes through the mail and they happen to, see it or whatever, people are going to question you. It's not going to be good.
Right.
But, I would, this is going to be like a cheap plug, I guess, but they're called theautographcard.com, and they just have these basic cards that aren't necessarily like the actual player or anything like that, but they do like these custom cards that have like footballs on them for football and a wrestling ring for wrestling, and they have Hall of Fame cards that say Hall of Fame on them and so forth, and they have no gloss on them whatsoever. No matter, you get a clean signature no matter what. Unless the pen explodes or something like that. But that's what I use because I don't really care if the person that I'm sending to actually is on the card. That's just me. I don't know.
Right.
But
and that's a great option too. I have some people in my state that I have some local communities of autographing that I follow, and one guy makes custom index cards like that. Same thing where he'll put he has this specialized little printer program that he uses, and he'll put like the person's name at the top, and if they're a football player, he'll put a football in the background, or if it's a wrestler, it'll be a wrestling ring, and like you said, it's a nice clean signature, big open space to do it with. And it's really the autograph that's important. So whether that person's directly on the thing isn't really as important as getting a clean autograph.
And if you wanted to get really creative, and this is kind of, above and beyond, and I've never really done it, so I don't even know if it works, but I've heard of people doing this. If you send them a blank index card, then print something over top of it, whatever you want, the autograph will be there. I mean, I don't know how good it will look. I've never done it, but I know people, I've heard of people that have.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's another, option, I guess. But if you have to go to that much trouble, I mean, you might as well just send a photo,
Right, for sure. I'm in that
Uh,
same boat too.
but yeah, so I think that's good answers for that question.
Yeah.
And I think that that's all we have pretty much as far as questions go. Um, the other question of the day that I had asked is if anybody has like a really unique item that is kind of different from the norm. We got some good answers, but I mean, do you have a unique item or something different?
Um, so I've got this through an auction site. I've got two of them now, and they're just interesting pieces. But I have two signed scripts from television shows. One is signed by Paul Feig, who is the director of The Office, and I showed that off in my Collections from the Cave YouTube video. So I have a signed script of the episode Email Surveillance from The Office, and then I have a signed script from Michael C. Hall, who was the star of Showtime's Dexter, and it is the pilot episode of Dexter. So I mean, just different.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously I have a lot of 8x10s, a lot of 8x10s, a lot of baseballs, a lot of mini helmets. So those are two pretty cool items. And then I have a Magic Johnson autographed jersey. I only have two autographed jerseys, and Magic Johnson's one of them, and it's like the old school Lakers jersey. So that's kind of a pretty cool piece. And it's more unique to my collection just because I don't have, I only have two jerseys in the collection.
Yeah, for sure. That's I also have a signed script, which I think they're really cool. Hopefully, the people that hear this have already watched your Collections from the Cave video where you showed off your signed script. I also have a signed script from The Dark Knight Rises, signed by the guy that played Bane in the Batman movies,
Nice.
Tom Hardy. So, but yeah, I mean, I think those are unique pieces. I would like to collect more of those
Yeah.
signed scripts. But I mean, and Pristine Auction is the place to do that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
A lot
have
of
a
great stuff
bunch
on
of
that
those.
site.
Yeah, and I mean, and I think that real quick to kind of jump back to the original questions that we got. I think that as far as any question that anybody could have, I think it's all about kind of connections and knowing where to look and things like that. Like sites like StarTagger and the Autograph Cave and places. There's all kinds of websites and stuff that will kind of point you in the right direction for anything that you might have a question on. There's forums and so forth on some of these sites. That kind of people run down all the different kind of questions and so forth. So I think it's about kind of just using your resources and kind of a little bit of luck. I mean, I literally, like we had said earlier, I typed in NFL team Baltimore hotel and there it was, like it's just sometimes you just got to be lucky and kind of use your resources a little bit and hopefully
it's another form of gambling, kind of. I mean, it's more luck than skill. Like there's not really skill involved with autograph hunting. Like there's nothing that I can do any better or worse than you that's going to get me more results than it's going to get you. It's really about just sending to the right people at the right time, being in the right place at the right time, Google searching the right thing at the right time. Like it's so much more luck than it is anything.
Yep. And the thing with autograph collecting, and maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. I don't know. I guess it depends on your outlook. But so many people do things so many different ways that, I mean, you really can't go wrong in a sense. You're going to find your own way to send a baseball or to send a mini helmet or to send whatever you're sending. And it's just kind of, if it works for you, it works for you. If you are lucky enough to not get your photos bent by just not putting cardboard in them, that's fine. I've done that for years, So, I mean, it's all, everybody finds their own methods, I guess. But the good thing is nobody's wrong, and we can sit here and discuss these things, and maybe a little piece of something that we say will, transition over to the way that somebody else will start doing things, and, eventually we'll reach some kind of a consensus where, a piece of something will be put with another piece of how somebody else does something, and then somehow they'll work together, and it'll be the way that everybody starts to do things, so.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the fun of the hobby, is kind of learning. I mean, I've made my fair share of mistakes. Collecting Sharpie on the baseball is one of my least proud moments.
Right.
And the thing is I don't know what record it was. Well, if it was like a no-hitter or something, but the day after he signed that autograph for me, he broke some kind of baseball record as like the youngest pitcher to do something. I don't know what it was. But he broke some kind of record. I'll have to look it up. But, and then that really made me feel bad because I was like, wow, But, stuff happens. Luck of the draw. But you just got to be as prepared as you can be. Another little tidbit, I had talked about, seeing the Falcons go to the hotel and stuff. I actually didn't bring any autograph supplies with me because I didn't expect them to be there like right at that time. The stuff was in my hotel room, but I didn't bring it down because I was like, I'm just going to go get dinner, and then when I come back, it'll be cool. Like, they'll be there or whatever, And so I wasn't thinking about it, and then lo and behold, I met like 5 or 6 of them, and I didn't have anything on me. So
that's always the heartbreaker, man.
Yep. So there's a receipt paper that I found, and had like six Falcons or something sign the receipt paper.
Hey, sometimes you just gotta do what you can do.
Yep. But so always be prepared, I guess, is the moral of the story. And I mean, I guess while we're talking about these things, we can quick talk about the 1K giveaway, the Quest for 1K giveaway that we're doing. It's going to be pretty cool. We're adding more names by the day. I don't know really when the names are going to stop. I mean, I guess it's when I quit finding things that I can throw in. So I don't know when that'll be, but knowing me, it probably won't be for a while. It depends. But before we get to that, I just want to kind of remind people that we are doing a giveaway at 500 for a signed Bob Lilly card. So, there's a status out there you can like and be entered into that without having to really do anything. But for the Quest for 1K, we've got some cool prizes. We got a Dan Fouts autographed card, and we got a Le'Veon Bell autographed helmet, a Don Sutton autographed Hall of Fame plaque, and a what else did I have in there? A CJ Spiller autographed helmet, I think, was the other item.
You got all sorts of stuff in there, man.
Yeah, I got all sorts of stuff. And since this probably won't be released until tomorrow, I might as well tell them what the final item is going to be. I will announce it on the autograph cave, and by the time this gets posted up, it'll probably already be posted on the autograph cave. But maybe our final autograph is going to be a Mike Messina. autograph. So that'll be pretty cool. Hopefully everybody's excited about that. So when we get to 1K, we'll be drawing that, and hopefully hopefully Brent, maybe we'll do some I don't know, some kind of special event, maybe some kind of live event or something when we go ahead and draw those, and we'll figure it out.
That'd be cool. And I just got to say too, I appreciate it. I mean, I don't know. I know you posted on the message board the other day. And for those of you that might not know, I'm now the second admin for the group. I just appreciate, it's been a fun group to be a part of, and I'm definitely looking forward to getting more involved in the group in terms of, helping you out, kind of get things situated and getting to meet some more of the people that are in the group. And, you said to me the other day, 2 heads and 2 minds are always better than one. And so I'm just happy to kind of contribute and be a part of things. And I look forward to trying to kind of continue to help grow this community as best we can.
And we are certainly glad to have you. I figured, the group. I mean, the group's not that big yet, but it'll get there. And I kind of wanted a fresh set of ideas to kind of take us further than what we have been. And I mean, Brent has a social media background, so I figured he can be our social media guy. Because I'm not the greatest at social media, so he can help us with some new ideas, and it's always good to have 2 people thinking of ideas to keep things fresh. So I'm glad to be able to do that, and we'll move this forward and get things going, hopefully in the 1K and over direction as far as members go.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah. So I mean, have you gotten any other kind of additions to your collection that you would like to talk about, or anything like that, while we have the time to do so?
No. Oh, so I got. I'm trying to think. It was the last time we had talked, and I think you might have bought a box of this too. But it was like, it's on a website that I use again. Not a sponsor, but whatever. The more plugs, the better for other places. Blowoutcards.com. It's a website that I use all the time for getting cards and other things. It's where I buy a lot of my memorabilia. They sell these really cool boxes of like Leaf autographed 8x10 wrestling packs. You get like 5 autographs in a pack and all that. But I got this thing called Handwritten, and I can't remember if you said if you had bought one yet or not either. But it's not an autograph. There's a chance of an autograph, but it's like literally a piece of something that typically it's a baseball player, has written. So it could be like one of the things they advertise is like a check from Babe Ruth, and like he wrote in the memo line something, or like it could be like Mickey Mantle's contract. Like there are different snippets of things that have this person's handwriting. Some are autographs, but most of it's just like a piece of their handwriting. And I bought a box of it, and it's just like 4 little cards. So like 2 of them are autographed, and then the other 2 are just like generic cards. But I got something written, if I remember correctly, it was by Ty Cobb. Mm-hmm. So that was cool. I mean, it would have nice to been his autograph, but it's just cool to kind of have like, it's kind of an autograph, it's his writing. Yep. But it was a pretty interesting thing to have. It's just one little line. It's a check memo, but it's right there, and it's just kind of cool to have that type of figure in my collection now.
Yeah, for sure. And those boxes certainly do look pretty cool. I am actually going to pick one up. I haven't had the opportunity to do so quite yet, but when I do, hopefully we can do a YouTube video or something of it and have a little fun.
Yeah, for sure.
But is there any other kind of topics or anything that you would like to kind of touch on before we wrap this up here? I don't want to keep the people too long, although we are going to release this in segments. I'm going to kind of try and break it up so that, we're talking about a certain topic and can kind of, people can better navigate the long podcast. I guess.
Right. I think the only thing I'm just going to keep encouraging people, we've covered a lot of really great topics, is, we've said over and over again tonight, like, it's really about growing as a community. The autograph community has, truthfully, it has kind of two types of people. You are going to meet those people that are very kind of like secretive with what they know. They don't want to give a lot of information away. They don't want to really be that accommodating, because deep down they want everything for themselves. But I really feel like in the autograph community, that is someone in the minority. Like, that is not a typical autograph seeker. Most people are willing to share information. They're willing to share ideas. They're willing to help talk, give tips, give tricks, kind of like what we did tonight with how to package things. And so, if you're a veteran member of the Autograph Cave, or you're a new member of the Autograph Cave, get to know the people in the group, talk to them, reach out to them. If you have a question, post it. If someone asks a question and you have a piece of advice, answer it. I think the best thing people can do in this type of hobby is just network. You and I literally live across the country from each other, and we have established a friendship from a common interest. And I know, and I think you would say the same things, if you were ever to be where I am, you would have a resource for getting autographs. If I was ever to come your way, I know I'd have a resource for getting autographs, and there's something really cool about that.
Oh, for sure. And that's kind of why I created the Autograph Cave to begin with, because I was tired of people not sharing the information that they had, because I knew it was out there. And I know that I have a lot of it. I don't know everything. Nobody knows everything. But, I've learned quite a bit over the last, 16, 17 years collecting autographs. So, you just got to share your information. And that was kind of the birth of the Autograph Cave, was let's knock down these barriers that people are putting up and holding their information, and let's help people. And that's kind of where we are today, and where I hope we continue to be. And I hope that it just kind of grows as people, realize that our group is not there to withhold information or anything like that. We just want to, help people and allow people to create memories and enjoy the hobby like we do.
For sure.
So I guess on that note, I don't really have anything else. I think we covered a lot of ground as far as packing things and so forth. So I'm pretty pleased with that. And it was a pleasure having you on as usual. And it's always been fun. It's always fun with you on the podcast. And I'm glad that you're admin now to our group. And hopefully me and you together can kind of start collaborating and bringing new content to the people via YouTube and all kinds of other social media platforms that we're on, which if you're not subscribed to our YouTube, you're really missing out. And hopefully if anybody hears this, if they're not subscribed to our YouTube, hopefully they go ahead and subscribe and get all these cool tips and tricks that we're dishing out here. So.
Yeah, for sure. I always appreciate the time, brother. It's a great time always to be able to talk to you.
All right, man. Well, with that, you have a good one, and we will, we'll hopefully meet up again here pretty shortly and discuss more topics with the people and continue to have some fun.
Sounds good, man. I look forward to it.
All right. You take care, man.
All right. Later, brother.